Queen came to open the Open Air Theatre when Bill Chapp was the mayor. Actually, Bill did a great job that day and made the Queen very welcome. In fact, the whole town made the Queen and Prince Philip very welcome indeed. And we were introduced to them. I'd met the Queen before previously, but not really had a chat with Prince Philip. And I mentioned that it was just after the election, I'd been appointed to the Whip's office as a sort of a member of Her Majesty's government. And he said, "Oh, bad luck," which that was very amusing. I think it was one of his standard lines. But it's a very sad day today, particularly as he was so close to reaching 100, which would have been a great opportunity for us all to celebrate his life. He's obviously been an amazing support for the Queen over so very many years. And before that, of course, he had a distinguished naval career serving in the Second World War. And of course, with children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren now, the royal family, I think, have been constant throughout all that time, from world wars to pandemics. And it's only so disappointing, I think, that because of the pandemic, there won't be the same opportunity, I think, for us all to show solidarity with the Queen and express our thanks for a life well lived and a life of service to the country and particularly to Her Majesty.
Did you meet him at any other time?
We had a lineup at Buckingham Palace once. I remember Maureen and I had walked from the House of Commons to Buckingham Palace, and it was a very cold night. And as we were shaking hands in the lineup, he kept hold of Maureen's hand and said, "My dear, your hand is freezing." And she sort of panicked a bit and didn't expect to be engaged in a conversation and said, "Oh, well, my husband's too mean to pay for a taxi from the House of Commons." So he said, "Well, make sure he gets you a taxi on the way back then." And the whole line sort of that was going quite smoothly had to stop while Prince Philip had this conversation with Maureen. And she often recounts the story. And I think that's one of those things about, the royal family, and particularly Prince Philip and the Queen, is that, they will meet thousands of people in their lives, and every single one of them will remember every single detail of that meeting. And I think that's one of the great things about having a royal family. I'm a great monarchist, and I just hope that the Queen will take strength from everyone in the country who will be feeling a feeling of loss and a need to feel solidarity with Her Majesty and support her in this difficult time.
It's funny, isn't it, when you think back? I mean, obviously, Robert, it goes without saying that you're a lot older than I am. But when you think that he's been serving,
I don't look it.
When you think that he's been serving alongside the Queen, or behind the Queen, is probably the right way that I'd put it, since the early 1950s, how much the world has changed exponentially since then. It's quite incredible that has remained a constant until a few years ago.
That's right. I mean, there's been a great many changes over the last 99 years. We've, had world wars. We've had political changes around the world, the fall of the Iron Curtain, the fall of the Third Reich. And Prince Philip was there supporting the Queen, 2 steps behind. But I know from a speech he gave a little while ago that he was always keen to offer advice when she was preparing a speech for a big event, and he didn't hide his views. And I think that was quite a refreshing thing about Prince Philip, that he was always he was never frightened to express his opinion, and I found that actually quite refreshing. I know other people were a little bit critical of him from time to time, but I found it very refreshing.
Thanks very much for your time today, Robert.
Thank you very much indeed. What a shame we just can't have the massive event that we would have had to give thanks for his life, but I'm sure there may be an opportunity in the future.